Welcome back here, Totem Pole Nation. We are live on a special Wednesday edition. I got the Brazilian beauty queen, Mayra Diaz Gomes, Life
Hi,
Lessons Podcast. Oh, so excited to have you here.
so
How are you today,
excited.
darling?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So, you being a Brazilian beauty queen, let me ask you about this. Giselle Bunchins, have you met her before?
I met her like many, many years ago when I was a child. Uh, Probably about 20 years ago at a fashion show when I still lived in Rio. But that was about it.
Wow, unbelievable. I'm living in St. Petersburg, Florida, and her ex, Tom Brady, is in my backyard flying past every single day, it seems
Oh
like.
wow. Well,
Yeah,
she's
absolutely.
extremely beautiful and a Brazilian icon for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So tell me what's going on these days lately.
Well, I'm always busy, as you know. I've been working with NWA. I work as as an on-air host for NWA, so I travel back and forth for wrestling, and most of the year I'm doing signings as well. Working as a model pretty heavily these days. Working on my sobriety daily. Um, I've been doing lots of speaking engagements as well, telling my sobriety story. And I just had a cover for Cosmopolitan Middle East come out.
Wow. Wow, that is
A
phenomenal.
short summary.
Okay, okay. Talk about being in Playboy. You were in the one of the early editions this year. Was that your
Yeah,
first time? And
it was my first time on the cover of Playboy. When I was about 22 years old, I believe I did a photo shoot for Playboy Brazil. But at the time, I was promoting one of the books that I was releasing because I'm an author as well. And this was more of a major shoot, obviously. So I was on the February cover of Playboy Denmark. And it's been an absolutely incredible experience. Being on Playboy has opened so many doors for me, and I'm just incredibly grateful that I had that opportunity, and that so many good things are coming from that.
absolutely. I mean, that's just an iconic magazine,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Now, being able to do that, like you obviously have to stay in good shape, and with fitness and everything. And this is one kind of motto that I really like. It's that is exercise is king, nutrition is the queen, and together that's how you create your fitness kingdom.
Very much so. Right on.
Now, tell me about. I had watched you on another podcast, and you had mentioned you were not the best cook. So, how do you do your meal wise? Do you do the meal prep wise, or do you count calories, or what's your blueprint there?
I honestly order food. I am a terrible cook, and my life is so busy. I just have to do things according to whatever schedule I have that day. So I tend to order a lot, and I've been trying to eat really healthy. I guess I've been doing a good job lately. But I definitely crave like junk food and chocolate and cake, and it's like a constant effort to eat properly. I would say.
Amen. What about exercise and whatnot?
Exercise is absolutely important and essential, not just physically, but for my mental health, for my sobriety. I think exercise is a huge part of the fact that I'm sober. And I really need to get my exercise every day. So I do a lot of different classes. I do Pilates, I do bar classes, I do boxing, I do cycling, because I go to a gym that has really great classes, and I weight train as well. And lately, I've been really hooked on hiking. So for the past like
Okay.
15 days, pretty much, I've walked like 3 hours a day. So like it's made
Wow.
me feel really great. Like this week, I'm feeling really good because I have been hiking so much.
Amen. There's
Yeah.
something, about mental health and nature that I believe kind of go hand in hand. You know,
Well,
I have
our brain
people
needs those chemicals, right? Our
without a
brain
doubt.
really need those chemicals.
Amen. And you know, I like just taking the dog for a walk. It can be some of
Yeah,
the most pleasurable things. And you know, walking barefoot in the grass for me, or in the sand, you know, possibly for you, you know, that to me is it's a
yeah.
very therapeutic. It's a very therapeutic remedy. You know, to just be in the moment and to be alive right there.
And to be in nature, nature just feels so amazing. I love it so much. Like it's meditation for me. Like I'm walking uphill, I'm solving every problem I've got going on in my head while I'm walking uphill. I'm coming to realizations, I'm having ideas. Like sometimes I might be crying over something, and then on my way down, I'm not crying anymore. So I feel like it's very much like therapy for me.
Amen. Let me
Yeah.
ask you this, like as far as like dealing with anxiety, you know, I've been one that's had to fight through it, and I've found a few tricks that really work for me. Two of them really quick. You know, if you when I'm feeling really bad, I can actually take a lemon and I bite into it almost like an apple. And it hits my cheeks, and it I don't know what it does to my brain, but instead of thinking that weird stuff, I'm thinking more like, man, this thing is so sour, and it just changes my whole mindset.
That is
And
interesting.
yeah, I don't know what it is, but for me, it just tricks my brain. It kind of makes me, you know, refocus, grounds me. And another thing is the same kind of deal with cold water. Like
Oh
if I
wow.
just hop in a cold
Cold
water
water
shower,
plunge.
yes, ma'am, instead of sitting there thinking, man, I don't feel right. I'm more or less thinking, man, my body's cold. I'm shivering a little bit, and it just kind of calms me down. Through going through things, are there any maybe shortcuts that have helped you that you know people that are watching could
So
maybe give a try?
I suffered from panic attacks for many, many, many years, and my panic attacks were really bad. It come to a point where I wanted to kill myself so many times while having a panic attack, because when you're in that moment, you just feel so desperate, and it feels like nothing can stop it. And I struggled with that a lot, especially during the pandemic, during the lockdowns, being by myself, and being deprived of lots of things that keep me healthy and human connection. We all went through it. But for me specifically, I was drinking heavily during lockdowns, drinking tequila, and my panic attacks were totally out of control. And I started having them almost every night, and that's actually what led me to become sober, because I just couldn't take it anymore. And I looked for a doctor, and the doctor told me, you have to get sober because your alcohol use might be connected to these panic attacks, and we might be able to control the panic attacks if you stop drinking. And my entire life, nobody had told me that there could be a solution for these panic attacks. They were always something that I faced and that I was very afraid of having, and I was also embarrassed of. It caused me to be very codependent. So there's lots of things about it. But when the doctor said that to me, everything kind of clicked. And I thought, wow, all I have to do is stop drinking and I'll never feel this way in my life, perhaps. And really, that's why I got sober. And for like 2 years and a half after getting sober, I didn't have a single panic attack. My anxiety just went
Wow.
away after I became sober. And I don't really suffer from anxiety that much anymore. It's like rare occasions when I feel like that. And it's, usually related to something that's going on that's very understandable that I'm anxious about. But I don't really have those like out of control panic attacks or anxiety attacks out of nowhere after I stopped drinking. So it really was miraculous for me in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, anybody, I've dealt with them before, and it's just the worst feeling in the world. It's the only way I can describe it. And yeah,
Hmm.
sometimes you feel like ending it will end that misery at that
Exactly.
moment. And unfortunately, it's something that has to be waited out, and that it has to kind of die off that
Yeah. You have to go
terrible
through
feeling.
it. It's
Yeah.
absolutely awful, and you can't breathe. And I would just be crying desperately, and I couldn't, like, I didn't know what to do with myself. I want to, like, explode in some sort of way. Like, I don't know how to handle it. It was terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. I've felt that way before, and for me, it was just blowing my mind because I am a person that takes health as wealth to me. I want to be in great shape, and so when I had that attack, I thought I was dying. That's just how I felt. I felt like I was dying because I'm in great shape. I work out, about an hour a day, almost every single day, and to be feeling that part in my mind, it was just it was crushing me. It was. It
Hmm.
felt like I was. But yeah, that's one of the reasons that I've been doing the Life Lessons podcast is just because maybe one person hears your story,
Yeah,
Myra, and you know what? If it saves their life, that is
absolutely.
what this is all about. And
Yeah.
I'm so thankful to have you on and for you to tell your story.
Thank
I have
you.
two daughters. I have two granddaughters, and I mean they mean everything to me. But me saying this and you saying it means so much more because
Yeah.
they want to walk in your footsteps. They want to be, they want to be like you are,
I mean,
and
my
so I
entire
really,
life, everybody in my life, from my mom to my sister to my therapist, anybody that cared about me was always worried about my drinking. I started drinking when I was really young, like 14 years old, after my dad passed away. And I never thought that I could become sober. I never believed that it was possible. Like, every social situation was connected to it. All my relationships, I didn't even know how to be social without alcohol. I didn't know how to go on a date without alcohol. There are so many things that I felt that I depended on alcohol for. And the people in my life, like my mom, who always wanted me to be sober, I wouldn't listen to her, because I didn't think it was possible and I didn't want to be sober. I thought life is so boring without alcohol. And now I am just so thankful, So I think if anybody is struggling with that, once you stop drinking, your life just becomes better in so many ways. And I think that's the thought that you have to hold on to. Like, things that you never thought were possible will start happening in your life if you have an alcohol problem and you stop drinking.
amen to that. I got a really close friend that I want to say is going on 8 months now, and she's like, to be able to remember, things, it just means everything, and to not wake up feeling terrible. And, I remember she said too that after 14 days of not drinking, that she didn't realize you could feel that good without alcohol, without
Exactly.
drugs in your system.
You
And
actually feel good most days when you don't drink, as opposed to when you drink, you always feel like shit afterwards, you know?
it's sad too that I think people wanna, like she's told me that she'll be someplace and people will just keep re-asking her, hey man, you want to drink? Can I buy
Yeah,
you a
that
beer? Can I
happens
buy you a
all the
beer? And
time.
keep on doing it.
Hmm.
Why is that uncool?
It's extremely uncool, but people will do it, especially when people are drinking. They're not really aware of their surroundings, and they just want you to have fun with them. They want you to be on the same mindset as they are. So I kind of developed a trick for that because it kept happening to me. So whenever I'm out, I always have a glass of Red Bull. So I'm always holding something, and I found that having that glass in my hand completely stops people from asking me anything because they think I'm drinking and they don't even question it. And that's how I get away with it pretty much. But there are many situations where I have to say, no, I don't drink. And people will go like, why not? Oh, just have one drink. You don't drink anything? Like, and it's really annoying, obviously, but it's something that I'm very used to now.
Yeah, that is a brilliant life lesson right there. So yeah, always have you drinking. And
Yeah.
my go-to is usually lemon water. You know what I mean? I just lemon
Yeah.
and water.
Well, you
There's just
taught
health
me
benefits
that
to it.
our drink, Craig. So when I was drinking, I would drink vodka and Red Bull. So it kind of makes me
Hmm.
feel like I'm still being social if I'm having a Red Bull. So that's what works for me. When I go to a concert, when I go to a party, I'm always having a Red Bull.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that, man. It means so much. Just to kind of switch gears a little bit. We wouldn't be having this if it wasn't for one of my best friends, and that's Miss Sarah Blake Cheek.
What's up,
Tell us
Sarah?
about her. Yeah, tell us about her and how you know her and y'all's bond and connection.
Well, I met Sarah through a mutual friend, Mayra, who was also on the cover of Playboy. And Sarah was pretty much essential in connecting me to Playboy initially. So Sarah
Wow.
was the connect girl for my Playboy magazine. So I'm very grateful to Sarah for helping me with that opportunity. Yeah.
Man, without a doubt, we had her come on, and we had 5 football games for her to pick. She went 5-0, and it was boom. You are the queen of the SEC, and it's just a beautiful Southern belle. And I'll tell you what, when she says y'all, it's pretty much whatever you want, Sarah, whatever you want. But it's been phenomenal because my wife and myself are affiliated. My wife is co-owner of it's called St. Pete Rejuvenate here, and one of the things we do is weight loss. We also deal with a lot of people with depression, chronic pain. So we what she does there that's a lot different from other places is they do the ketamine infusions for people that are like severely depressed and everything. And so it's been amazing to see people change their lives right in front of you. And just with Sarah alone, she's dropped 25 pounds with
Yeah,
us.
I see
And
she's working really hard.
yes, like that's the thing though with anything, you get people and they might try it and think they can go back to sitting on the couch watching TV, eat the Cheetos and stuff like that, and think that the weight's just going to fall off. As to where she's just been like she did this number, she started cranking it up, to do with it, and it's
That's
been
great.
phenomenal, seeing people change like that. And yet, she actually won our weight loss raffle that we had, and it was so cool because
Nice.
she's such a rock star, and she posts videos just kind of a testimony, and it's been really cool for us. So yeah,
Nice.
that's so cool. And yeah, if you ever come to St. Petersburg, Florida, we definitely all got to link up. We would
Totally.
love to have you here. Another question with the big release of the Barbie movie. I've seen you had 1,496 pink outfits that you had posted.
So
But no,
my
just
so my
you have a you
wrestling
have a
my wrestling character, May Valentine, actually only wore pink for 3 years.
oh
So for three
wow.
years, I had to every month go out there and buy pink dresses, pink outfits. I have so many pink outfits. I have nowhere to fit them. I have like 5 different suitcases only with my NWA May Valentine outfits. So Barbie came
Right.
out. I was like, "Yo, people, if you need pink outfits rented or if you want to buy something, I have my own store here at home. Like legit, so much stuff."
Heck yeah,
Yeah.
autograph on those, man. That'd be a
and
huge sell right
and
there.
that was Billy Corgan's doing. Billy Corgan, my boss, he is the owner
Yeah.
of the NWA, and he's who created my character. And it was his idea that I wear pink. And throughout the years, I'd be like, "Hey, Billy, can I kind of maybe change up a little bit?" And he'd be like, "No, I like you in pink." So I'm like, "Okay, here I go, buy more pink stuff."
Absolutely. And it was David Arquette that helped with that name, correct? Can you tell that
Yeah,
story?
and both Billy and David. So yeah, after I was hired for to be a part of the NWA, Billy and I were trying to figure out my name. And he came up with May, and that made sense to me because it was my nickname when I was a teenager. So it wouldn't be like I had a completely different name, which I always tell people would be really weird to me if suddenly I'm like Anna or something,
Right.
So May is still me. And then we were trying to figure out like my last name, and he had come up with Lockhart, and I have a friend named Leia Lockhart, so I said no, I can't take my friend's name. We need
Yeah.
another name, but he wanted it to be something like kind of like girly and cute. And at the same time, I was using David Arquette's wrestling ring that he had in his backyard in LA. He was letting me train there. I trained there for about 6 months. And so David was at my training on a day where I was trying to figure out what my name was going to be. And he just blurted out, "How about May Valentine?" And I was like, "That's it." You know,
Brilliant.
not only do I love the name, but I get to say that David Arquette came up with it. So that's my name, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, he has a daughter that's in the game. Is that right? Has he got
In
a
the
daughter
game.
that's competing? That's in wrestling.
No, he's a wrestler himself.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a wrestler himself.
Gotcha.
Actually, if you haven't watched it, he has an amazing documentary about his wrestling journey called "You Can't Kill David Arquette," because
Okay. I
he
did see a
was,
little bit.
yeah, he was training to be a wrestler for a really long time, but he had to really prove himself. So this documentary really shows the crazy journey that he went through to become a professional wrestler.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research, and I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia.
Hmm.
And the name that sticks out in wrestling to me, being from Richmond, Virginia, is Mickey James.
Oh, I love Mickey so much.
Yeah, tell me
Yeah.
about her.
Yeah, I've worked really closely with Mickey James. She's done some work for the NWA, and she was also responsible for our Empower pay-per-view, which was an all women's pay-per-view, the first
Right.
all women's pay-per-view in the history of the NWA, 75 years. And
Heck
so
yeah.
Mickey was responsible for that. And I had gone to their house in Nashville, her and Nick Aldis, at the time at a time when I had to interview them for an NWA episode. So I stayed at her house. She picked me up at the airport. She was
Wow.
such a sweetheart. Like, I stayed in one of her rooms. She was just the coolest, the sweetest. She gave me like really good advice. Um, and so when she was the executive producer of Empower, she said that I should come and be the backstage interviewer for it. So she pretty much put me
Wow.
on that show, and it's a crazy memory of being backstage in production meeting, and I was with Medusa, Jazz, and Mickey James, like
Wow.
absolutely insane, and Gail Kim too. So like absolute legends, and me sitting
Yeah.
in this room, and I remember being like, "Wow, I'm so grateful for this moment. Like I can't believe I'm even a part of this conversation." So I
Yeah.
love Mickey James. I think she's badass. She's awesome.
Oh man, I love hearing that. She is pride and joy there of Richmond, Virginia. So to find out that she had some influence on you, that is
Definitely, I
super
love
awesome.
Mickey.
So I've had a lot of people reach out and ask these days, are you single these days, or
Well, I suppose I am.
man, what is the dating world like? What is dating like these days?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I was married. I was married for 10 years. So I've been single for about 5 years now, I would say.
Okay.
And I think it's a theme in my life where whenever I meet someone that I really like, they're emotionally unavailable.
Right.
So I tend to have a lot of relationships that are like sex and friendship, and that they never become something else, and they're really fulfilling relationships, but they never turn into something more. So
Right.
I'm not even sure how you turn into something more, because when I used to drink, it was really easy to start drinking and then form this like an immediate bond with somebody, or think you have an immediate bond with somebody, or immediately feel attracted, or be super codependent and immediately get into a relationship. And now that I'm sober, like I really consider things, and I have really high standards, I suppose, that do not work in my favor. But it's really
Right.
hard for
Right.
me to even like be interested in somebody, like, because I consider so many things. I'm not going to jump into a relationship. I don't need like an immediate bond. I'm not codependent. Like, I'm very independent now. And I feel like the person really has to fit my life, and we have to have a real bond. We have to have a real connection. And finding that connection is hard. And then you find that connection. And normally for me, it ends up being friendships, because people aren't really willing to take it to that other level. So that I've been single. What can I say?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine, how it is these days. I met my wife at a nightclub. I was actually working security,
Okay.
and she came up and said something to me, and I was in full security mode and looked all serious at her and said something, like, just kind of intimidating.
Yeah.
And she smiled, and then when she stopped smiling, that's when I started smiling and everything. And yeah,
How long
we've
have
been
you been
together.
married?
I've been married, going to this upcoming year will be our third year on the
Oh,
23rd of
amazing.
September. Yes,
Congratulations.
ma'am.
So
Yes,
it's
ma'am. But
fresh. Still
we've
in the honeymoon phase.
that's it. Absolutely. Well, we've been together for 17, so
Oh, wow.
we've hung out for a long time.
That's a long time.
It was important to me that her girls be successful and be able to be on their own and do well, and both of them have just flourished. And that was really important to me. And
That's
yeah,
amazing.
it's been amazing, just to have your one of one. It's been phenomenal. And her background, she came up super tough as well. So hearing your story, it definitely hits home and everything, because she's been one that just had to go through and fight adversity. I mean, she's the type where if I was in a fist fight, she would come in looking to throat punch people. You know what I mean?
Love it.
And
It
so
seems like
yeah.
you found your match.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask you this: what would be the perfect date if a gentleman was to, uh, be able to take you out? What would be a perfect date that you could imagine?
I'm pretty simple. I like being taken out to dinner. Being taken out to dinner is cool with me. I like when people do intentional things, when the person shows that they have an intention and they are doing an intentional gesture to show you that they value you. So if you take me out somewhere really nice and we have a great conversation and we have great food, that's a great date for me. I don't need anything crazy or romantic even. I think that time and attention and care are like the most important things for me. That's pretty much it, I think.
Oh, that is
Because
sweet.
most people just want to take you, straight to bed. And so
Yeah.
when somebody like puts in, effort and intention and gives you time and wants to get to know you, to me that's very attractive. And it's like maturity is very attractive to me, you know.
Amen. Let me go
Yeah.
into this now. That this leads right in my next question. Should guys color their hair or their beards if they're into that, getting into that 30-40 range when, it's starting to turn gray? What's your opinion on that?
I don't know. I like a little bit of gray hair. It doesn't bother me.
Okay.
Yeah. I like beards too.
Well, we like that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, how about this one? Manscaped or all natty?
Say it again.
Manscaped. Should the guys be manscaping a little bit, or just however they are? If you got a hair full of back or a back full of hair, that's how you're rolling.
I don't know how to answer that. I've never been in that situation.
Oh, oh man,
Oh, that is
that is
funny.
hilarious. That is funny. Let me ask you this: what do you think, or have you seen anything on Britney Spears?
Yes, I follow Britney Spears. I love
Yeah.
Britney Spears. I've loved Britney Spears since I was a kid. I've met Britney Spears.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think she's dealing with some stuff right now, or
I definitely
what?
think she's dealing with some mental health issues. Um, and some posts are pretty worrying to me.
Yeah.
I understand she's been through a journey that like we can't even imagine, and sometimes it seems like she's rebelling against it and she just wants to say fuck you, I do whatever I want, I'm dancing on this pole, I'm dancing around my house all day. So I support her in that sense, but definitely some posts of her make me worry that there's something more going on.
Yeah, amen. That's
Yeah.
some scary stuff, and
I mean,
yeah,
she's been through like unimaginable hell, you know. And
yeah,
I'm sure
absolutely,
that it's not easy to deal with, even though she is, quote unquote free.
very true. How do your testimonies when you speak on it, is that healing you a little bit as well? Just getting
Oh
it
my
out there.
gosh, yes. Just like you were talking about, like sharing my story is so important to me. Like I really feel that it fulfills me to tell my story. And if I can help even one person, that is extremely fulfilling to me. So I absolutely love it. And the more I talk about it, the more power I have, the more I own it, the more it's my story, my narration. You can't define me however you want. I define myself, and this is my story. So it's like taking control, taking power over, your past, and then turning it into something good, I suppose.
Amen. How can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. It's Mayra Diaz Gomes. So yeah, just follow me there.
Oh, awesome. Well, anything else you want to share with us before I wrap this up?
I'm good. As long as you are.
Oh man, awesome. I really appreciate it. You have been phenomenal.
Thank you so
And
much.
yeah, would love anytime you want to come on. I do have some guys that just talk wrestling and they would
Okay.
love to talk to you. So
Cool.
just keep that in mind. Huge shout out to Sarah Blake Cheek for making this all happen.
Shout out to
Totem Pole
Sarah.
Nation, thank you guys. And
Thank you.
you are the best. To the next
You too.
episode, guys.
Thank
Bye bye.
you.